Welcome back to the channel, and today we are doing a mixed breakdown for the record Not Your Type by Flowsip. Guys, you have to forgive my inconsistencies, man. It's not been easy, but every once in a while I get to drop mixed breakdowns here, and a lot of you enjoy these mixed breakdowns. So I'm here with another one. This is Not Your Type by Flowsip. So we're just going to get right into it. This session isn't quite large. It's not a very large session. There's a drum loop, and this drum loop is what is carrying almost all of the drums, right? So it goes like this. So it's a drill type beat, and in there you have your kick, you have your counter snare, you have your hi-hat, and all of those things. And then you have your synth bass, we have a couple of effects going here and there, and then we have guitars and strings, pads, and all of that. And then of course we have my tag, and then we have a couple of vocals. We have the main lead vocal, and then we have this other lead vocal that I'm using as the reverb track, and then we have a couple of ad-libs here and there, and that's just about it. So it's not a very large session. So for the drum loop, I don't have nothing going on there, and then for the synth bass, I don't have nothing going on there as well. So, but before we get into what all of the plugins are and then what they are doing, let's see how I've routed things. So the drum loop is going to the kick and bass bus, which I have down here. I have the kick and bass, I have the percussions bus, I have the melody bus, I have the mix bus where everything is routed to, and then I have the all vox bus. So this lead bus and the lead ad-lib is going into this lead bus. This lead verse chorus is going into this lead bus, along with this lead ad-libs, and this lead bus is going into the all vox bus, and then the BGVs as well is going into the all vox bus, which is then going into the mix bus along with every other bus. So it's not a very complicated setup. Then we have all of these effects going into the percussions bus. Then we have all of these guitars and synth pads going into the melodies bus. So let's see what I have going on. So on the acoustic guitar for the instruments now, I just have Autopan, and this is what that sounds like. So yeah, it's just taking it from left to right and creating some movement within the mix. Without the Autopan, it's just static, and it sounds like this. So I'm just trying to use it to create some movement. And on these strings, I have the SSL channel. So here I can see I'm doing some lift on the highs around 8K, and I'm doing some cuts on the low mids right around 600, 550, 600 ish, just to clear out some of the mud, and then to boost a little bit of the highs to increase its presence. So yeah, that's how the string sounds without the SSL channel, and then with it. So I'm just using it to clear up a little bit of the low mids, while also introducing some air into it so that it can increase its perceived presence. So for this one, these chords, I'm just doing a little bit of low cuts, and also taking out about 2 dB from the lows and the low mids, just to clean up that mud a little bit. So without it, by itself, it doesn't sound like much, but the context, it just clears up all of that low end and the low mid build up. So yeah, that's what that is doing. I'll just mute all of the vocals and then play it with the processing and then without the processing. So just on these three guys. So here's what it sounds like. Oh, this is the reference track. Okay. So and I really love this production. And this song was produced by Seth, the producer, by the way. And I love this production because it gives space for the artists to really express themselves, for them to shine, for all of the vocals to come through and be heard, without a lot of other elements, masking the vocals. So it's a very fast production, if I would put it that way, and gives room for the artist to like do all of his vocal gymnastics. And it's drill, so the artist really needs to come through and be heard, and that's what this production just gives room for. So yeah, that's everything that's happening with the instrumentals. So now straight into the vocal mix. I have here the lead, so let me just turn this on and we can hear exactly what's happening. Let's go straight into the verse. Okay.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right. I'm not your type. We up all night.
Oh, damn. So on the channel itself, I'm not doing so much. I just have this low cut going, and then I'm sending it to auto tune. I have the key and the scale selected, retune speed up to about 100, and the flex tune around 6. And that's about it. So I'm trying to get the vocals to really sync with the music, but not to be overly auto-tuned as well. I'm trying to get it to sound as natural as possible. So let's follow the vocals and hear what they sound like with and without, or without and then with the tuning.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right.
So that's what it sounds like without any tuning, and this is what it sounds like with the auto-tune.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right.
So it's not changing the character of the vocals so much. It's just making it sound a little bit more musical.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right. I'm not your type. We up all night.
So let's hear with the rest of the music without first.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right.
And then with.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right.
So it just sits the vocals better in the mix. And then after that, I have this track. So this track is the same with the lead vocals. It came in this way. I had this lead and then I had this track. It was, really, really low, but it's the same as the lead. So what I just did was to make this the reverb track instead of doing away with it. So this is what it sounds like with all of the effects on. So without any of the processing, it sounds like this.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right.
So you can see it's the same with the lead vocals. And I have here auto tune, same setting, of course. This time around, a little bit higher on the retune speed, but everything else stays the same. And then EQ, I'm just cutting out the lows and then taking out some of the highs as well, and then doing some dips here and there and boosting the body a little around this region. So without this EQ, this is what it sounds like.
I'm not your type. We up all
And
night
with the EQ,
to make you right. I'm not your type.
so I'm just using this basically to carve the vocals going into the reverb since I wanted to use this as a reverb track. So I didn't want the reverb to have, all of the low information and all of the high information as well. So I'm just using it to carve it and then doing this boost to still retain the body of the vocals going into that reverb. And then on the reverb track, I have Valhalla Concert Hall 53.2 milliseconds. This is timed, by the way, with the BPM, and then the decay time just a little over 3 seconds. And then I've done low cuts and the high cuts here as well to kind of like control the reverb. And this is how it sounds like. So when you play that with the lead vocals, it looks like I'm sending the lead vocal to a reverb aux bus, whereas it's just a duplicate track where I have affected this completely with reverb, and as you can see, it's set at 100% wet.
I'm not your type. We up all night to make you right. I'm not your type. We up all night.
So basically, that's what they both sound like together. And then on the next track, we have auto tune, same thing, auto tune, auto tune, auto tune. So I'm just tuning the rest of them to make them sit better with the music. And this is what they all sound like.
Make it right. Just to make it right. Yo. Make it right. Just to make it right. Make it right. Just to make it right.
So here's what they all sound like without any tuning. And then with the tuning, here's what they sound like.
Make it right. Just to make it right. Yo. Now you're tight. Up all night. Make it right. Just to make it right.
So it makes them all sound more musical, than just having them sound raw and unfiltered. It kind of polishes the sound a little bit. So for the lead verse chorus, where this lead track is going to, let me look for somewhere where it's doing more. So let me take all of this off, then we can hear what they sound like.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure, yeah. For the bag, we broke the law. Middle fingers, fuck 'em all.
A lot of people are going to be triggered by this vocal chain. Like, oh, it's too much. Yeah, maybe it looks too much, but then let's see what they're all doing like individually. So the first thing I like to do is to color the sound a little bit with tape. And here I'm using the tape face from Plugin Alliance. I have it set to 30 inches per second, and I'm using this tape style 2 or tape type 2, pushing the input a little bit into the tape plugin and then, backing off on the output a little bit as well to reduce the volume or to level match. With the tape plugin, this is what it sounds like.
Making music, I don't do it for the views.
Without.
I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure.
So there's a little bit more character, a little bit more like aggression that I'm hearing that the tape plugin is adding to the vocals. And then after that, I'm adding some more saturation just to beef it up because I want the energy from his vocal performance to really come through and to really shine because of the way the instrumental is, so I want him to match the level of that energy on the instrumental. So I'm adding a little bit of drive on the NLS bus to give it more saturation.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure, yeah.
See how when I take off the two plugins, it sounds more laid back, sounds more relaxed. But when I bring it back in, it's going to sound more like urgent.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure.
So it also brings it, up front in the mix. So let's hear what that's sounding like with the rest of the instrumental. So I'll take it off first.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure. Yeah. For the back, we broke the law. Middle fingers, fuck 'em all.
Now, the next thing I have is EQ. With all of this saturation that I've added, it's normal for some frequencies to become exaggerated. So we want to use the EQ to like control all of those frequencies, look for where they are resonating and just tuck them in a little bit. And I have these few EQ points where I felt like the vocals were, the resonances were a little bit over the top. So I'm just tucking it back in to like make the vocal sound a bit smoother. So let's take off the EQ and then hear what it sounds like and then bring it back in and then also hear what it sounds like.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure. Yeah. For the back, we broke the law. Middle fingers, fuck 'em all. Sip you gonna need a straw. I'm not.
So what you're going to immediately notice is that we lost somebody just a little bit. We lost some like of the low mids, some of the thickness of the vocals, but that's not a problem. It's going to be reintroduced later on in the mix. What we did basically was to just take out that mod, but in the process of doing that, we kind of reduce the thickness of the vocals. That's to be expected, but then we're still going to reintroduce it and make it cleaner. So the next thing I have is a de-esser to control the S's and to make it less harsh. And I'm doing that before the compressor because compression tends to exaggerate some of these things and make them sound worse than they actually are. So we are preparing the vocals in advance for the compressor by first of all cleaning up the resonances with the EQ and then taming the harshness and the sibilance with a de-esser so that the compressor can have more like a cleaner vocal to work with, and not have to exaggerate or over exaggerate any of the bad stuff. The first compressor I'm using is the 76, and I'm using that to catch the peaks of the initial transients and then tucking them back in a little bit. And then I have the release set to medium. It's not going to be a very fast release and it's not also going to be a slow release. So I have it medium while the attack is fairly fast. It's still a medium attack, but it's towards the fast side of things. So let's see what that's doing.
The back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure. Yeah. For the back, we broke the law. Middle fingers, fuck 'em all. Sip you gonna need a straw. I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right. I'm not your type.
So typically I would have gone for like a faster release so that the compressor can, let go of the vocals while we anticipate like the next transient or the next peak. But because of, how his performance is going, there seemed to be a lot of transient coming through. So I didn't want the compressor to be, hitting and releasing as quickly as that, so that we don't make the vocals sound too harsh. When you start to compress with a fast attack and release, what tends to happen is you introduce some more harmonics, and sometimes those harmonics can result to the vocal performance being harsh. So I didn't want it to sound harsh. So I'm following that up with an LA2A, which is like a classic move. I'm doing about 2 dB of gain reduction.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure. Yeah. For the back, we broke the law. Middle fingers, fuck 'em all. Sip you gonna need a straw. I'm not your type.
What this compressor is helping me to achieve is, one, it's further controlling the dynamics of the performance, right? It's leveling things out, but as well, it's adding top end to the vocal performance. It's also, adding a little bit of body and a little bit of volume as well. The volume thing is intentional because after coming from the 76, I lost some volume there, and then I'm using this to recover that volume. So if I should take out the 2 compressors that we had.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure, yeah. For the bag, we broke the law. Middle fingers, fuck them all.
After that, I'm doing some EQing. So I am not doing anything on the highs, and on the high mids, I'm adding a little bit of 1.3 or 1.5. Can't see that quite clearly. And then I'm taking away 4 dB from around 500 hertz as well. That very muddy area. I'm just reducing it a little bit, and then taking away 3 dB from 160.
The bag, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure, yeah. For the bag, we broke the law. Middle fingers, fuck them all. Sip, you gonna need a straw. I'm not yet.
All right. So after that, I'm sending it into a multi-band, and on the multi-band is where I'm trying to bring back some of that body, but I want it to be controlled, much more controlled this time around. So I am compressing and then lifting as well.
Making music, I don't do it for the views.
So this way I'm bringing the vocals way up front, and then you can feel the thickness, you can feel the brightness. It's not harsh, it's not muddy, it's not all of that. It's just clean energy, clean vibes, and really upfront.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it, but I want some more.
And I'm also still using these two bands to simulate de-essing. So I'm reducing the harshness on these high mids and as well as the highs. And I'm making these highs listen to this range and then duck every time this range here becomes explosive. Then this one ducks as well to reduce the impact of those S's, the T's, and all of those really very piercing high notes. So there's a lot of S's, there's a lot of SH, there's a lot of T's in his lyrics, and I wanted all of those to be controlled, and that's what that Pro MB there is doing. And then I'm introducing fresh air just to give you a little bit of air, but this time around controlled air. So this is what it sounds like.
Making music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem solved, but I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure, yeah.
Everything that I'm doing now is just making sure that all of those frequency ranges are coming through really nicely, but there is no excessive build-up from each of those frequency ranges. So you can crank this song up or this mix up, and then you don't get that harshness, you don't get that muddiness from the vocals and from the mix. So now let's look at, let's turn all of this off. Let's turn the whole chain off, hear what it sounded like before any of this, and then hear what it sounds like afterwards.
I contract like Usain Bolt. I've been on the lonely road. Yeah, my heart be turning cold. Yeah, my love be wearing old. Where I'm from, this shit is gold. This shit louder than a hoe. This shit harder than a stove. I be flyer than a dove. Been through so many doors. Play safe, can fuck with me. The truth might set you.
So when I bring this back in now, the reverb track sounds like this.
I contract like Usain Bolt. I've been on the lonely road. Yeah, my heart be turning cold. Yeah, my love be wearing old. Where I'm from, this shit is gold.
So yeah, that's all I have on this guy. So let me turn the sends back on. So I'm sending it to the short reverb. I'm sending it to, I was going to send this guy to long reverb as well, but I felt like the level I have with this reverb track is enough. So there's no point sending more reverb, sending this guy to more reverb. So I'm just sending it to a short reverb instead to put it in a room or in a space and not make it sound super, super dry. So I'm sending it to a space, sending it to stereo delay. So yeah, that's what I have. And then on the ad libs, here's what we have. Tape, again, to give some character, and then EQ to control the low mids and not have any low mid build up. And then I'm using this to really, I think I'm getting about 5 dB or so of gain reduction. Can't remember.
We up all night to make it right. I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right. I'm not your type.
So my intention initially was to like have these guys like super super compressed, but I guess it still sounds okay at this level. I don't know why I backed off on the compression, but yeah, sounds okay, sounds good. And then after that, I am doing a little bit of cuts on the low mids and then on the lows as well, doing a decent amount of cuts around 156 and then here around 600, 620. I'm not boosting the highs. I'm taking away from the high mid, from the highs a little around 15K, not doing anything on the high mids.
I'm not. Yo,
So without all of that,
make you right, just to make you right. Making all you own, pull me wrong. Yeah, roll, cold. Yeah, gold.
yeah, so that's what we got. And then on the lead bus, where I'm sending the lead verse chorus and the lead ad libs to, I just have Pro MB multiband compressor, where I'm really controlling the high end, but I'm also, like bringing it back in. So I'm like boosting the highs of the lead and the ad libs, but I'm also making sure that those highs are controlled, very controlled.
You know you own. They know I'm right, but they just wanna prove me wrong. Back on track like Usain Bolt. I've been on the lonely road. Yeah, my heart be turning cold. Yeah, my
So from song to song, as a mix engineer, you are going to have to make decisions on whether you want the song or the record you're working on to be like dark, to be warm, be bright. You decide the overall character of each song when you listen to the song, and also when you compare that with the demo that they send you, if they send you any demo, or you can have a discussion with the artist and know what his vision is like. For this one, I got a demo, and the character of the demo mix was kind of bright, so I wanted to match that.
heart be turning cold. Yeah, my love be wearing old. Where I'm from, this shit is gold. Is she louder than a hoe? Is she hotter than a stove? I be flyer than a dove.
Yeah, so we're good with that. So with the Allvox bus is where the lead is going to, and so basically it's just the lead bus coming into the Allvox bus, and then I'm still adding more tape to kind of like squeeze some more aggression out from the performance.
My heart be turning cold. Yeah, my love be wearing.
And I love, love, love what this plugin helps me achieve every time. Every time I use this plugin, the results are just amazing. So after that, I'm pushing up some more with Vector, just emphasizing some different parts of the vocal performance.
My heart be turning cold. Yeah, my love be wearing old. Where I'm from, this shit is gold. Is she louder than a hoe? Is she hotter than a stove? I be flyer than a dove. Been through so many.
When you listen to this track, you're going to feel it as though the performer is performing right in front of you. That's the kind of feeling I'm getting right now. Like it's super, super upfront. That's the kind of energy that you want to give. So after that, I'm doing some transient shaping where I'm taking away from the attack. All of this processing I'm doing where I'm bringing things more and more forward is going to emphasize the transient. And I didn't want all those transients to start being pokey or to start, jumping out the speakers. So I just took back the attack a little bit on the transient shaper or the transient designer.
My heart be turning cold. Yeah, my love be wearing old. Where I'm from, this shit is gold. Is she louder than a hoe? Is she hotter than a stove? Flyer than a dove. Been through so many doors. Play safe, can fuck with me. The truth may set you free.
So you can hear how this just like creates like an imaginary barricade, right, between the performer and the audience, in the sense that his voice is not really, you can hear him really close, but it's not harsh, it's not, poking at you or at the listener. And that's what I wanted to achieve with this, just to like control the performance. And then on the kick and bass, where I'm sending the drum loop and this synth bass too. Let me turn off the processing. This seems like a lot, but yeah, let's have a feel for what it sounded like. Mm, really gritty, really, really gritty. But, I just try to really emphasize on that, sending it to tape just to get that aggression out from it. Without sounds like the drums and the bass is eating up your speakers. And then after that, I'm sending it to Pultec where I'm just boosting the lows a little bit, just a little, it's almost imperceivable. But then I'm pushing up the highs around 12K to, bring up the presence and air, especially in the drum loop. So it's kind of emphasizing the counter snare and the hats as well. After that, saturation, giving it a little bit of beauty. I mean, I had to make it look more beautiful. Again, more saturation. Decapitator drive at less than one or just one, and I'm using this style right here, and this voice sounds like. So without all of this so far, yeah, and then Pro Q3 to control, the frequencies, especially on the parts that are resonating. You can hear it sounds like it's playing on a carton, on an empty carton, and I'm just taking that out. And then this one sounds like it's on an empty plastic, So I just wanted to reduce those frequencies a little bit so that I don't get too emphasized. I mean, less of the bad stuff, project more of the good stuff. And then SSL comp, just gluing both the drums and the bass together, making them tighter. I have gone for a slow attack, fast release, 2-to-1 ratio, so it's a very fairly gentle compression. Yeah. So that's just giving us between 1 and 3 dB of gain reduction. And then SPL transient at this point, again, reducing the attack just a little bit so that it doesn't get too spiky. Okay, so let me take off everything at this point. And then bring it back in. So on the percussions bus, they're just little effects. So I'm just sending them to tape to like get more character out from them. And then on the melodies bus, same thing, sending them to tape. So this is what they all sound like at this point.
Type, we up at night to make it right. I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right. I'm not your.
So all of these effects, I'm not using all of the effects, by the way, just a couple of them. And then all of the effects are being routed to the mix bus. And on the mix bus is where everything else goes. Let's see. Tape. Maybe it's a little too much at this point. Maybe it's not. But it just gets better and better and better. So yeah, I added tape to the mix bus to kind of bring everything together. So I have tape on the mix bus. And again, I have the NLS bus. I have it on the spike setting. I have the bus compressor to just glue everything. Ratio 1.5, attack slowest, release on auto. And I've set the sidechain high pass filter to 150.
Type, make it right. I'm not your type. We up all night to make it right.
And then after that, it's going into the pull tech, boosting the lows, and then doing a slight cut as well, boosting the highs, and doing a little bit of cuts around 5K as well. So it's helping me bring that mid-range forward.
Keep music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem, I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure. Yeah. For the bag with broke law. Middle finger.
Yeah, so after that, I'm doing more saturation. Oh boy. Now I'm the one who is complaining. Like, why? Why am I doing more? Why more? So, but I have a little bit of saturation on the beast and on the beauty as well with this.
Keep music, I don't do it for the views. I got it back, but I want some more. Problem, I got some more. Shorty fine, she so demure. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I am just cleaning up the sound a little bit, doing a little bit of low shelf cuts, boosting this on the mids. You can see that I have it on the mids. I'm just boosting the kick and the bass on the mids a little bit, and then doing some notches out from the mix overall, just to clean up the sound and make it sound, way better.
Cold. Yeah, my love be wearing old. Where I'm from, this shit is gold. This shit louder than a hoe.
So yeah, that's all that I have for this mix. Thank you very much for coming along with me on this one, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you liked this particular video, please do well to leave me a like, drop me a comment, and do all that good stuff. Follow for more, subscribe to the channel. Yes, and I'll see you in the next video.